I got to kick this thing off. Can I kick it off? 1, 2, 3, 4. Ladies and gentlemen, listen.
Conversate with Us Radio presents the Man Listen Show. We are the blackest radio show on the internet. We bring you our opinion on topics that affect the Black community in an effort to enlighten, enrich, and empower every brother and sister that falls under the sound of our voice. We operate on a no-hating frequency, so be prepared for us to keep it 100% real and 100% Black all the time. Please follow the show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Man Listen Show. You can also subscribe to the show, give us a thumbs up, leave us a comment on YouTube. Make sure you let everybody know about the show and tell them we are the blackest radio show on the internet, the Man Listen Show. I'm your host, Marv B. Let's bring the crew in. All right, y'all. So Black Panther 2 in. So before we get started, spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the movie, we're going to go in depth into the movie. So just go ahead and log off, come back after you've seen the movie, because we're not going to, we're going to give spoilers when we talk about this film. So Black Panther 2 came out last weekend, did very well at the box office, as it should have. A lot of people most people gave it positive feedback. There were some people who had some problems with parts of the movie. I have a little small critiques of the movie as well, but I also have some other things that I felt that they did a wonderful job on. But we're just going to talk about it and see what everybody has to say. So everybody seen the movie? Who wants to go first?
So I gave it a 3 because I thought it was slow.
Out of five.
3 out of 5. 3 out of 5.
So okay. So before we start recording, Sia asked the question.
Dude, it was about 3 out of 10 too, but
1 out of 5, with 5 being the highest, 5 being the best. What did you rank it?
3.
You gave it a 3. Okay, why'd you give it a 3?
I thought it was slow. That's what I could have came in with some scissors and tightened that movie up. Some of the stuff I just was like, okay, I get it. We're playing tribute to Chadwick. I appreciate it, but we had a moment of silence. Then we had a moment at the beginning. Then there was a moment in the middle. Then there was a moment at the end. I was like, I didn't come here to be sad, man. I came here to see some people fighting unrealistically on the screen. So I came to be entertained, not upset. So I don't know. I think they did a good job with the grief and the tribute and stuff, but they could have just scaled that back a lot. I thought the little Easter egg at the end was interesting. I didn't see that coming, but I don't know. It could have been better.
Definitely could have been better. I probably echo your rating, probably 3 out of 5. I would say it was definitely slow, but throughout, I'm not gonna say the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe, but sometimes there are movies where you have to have a little slower, that you want to tell a little more backstory, and it's not all about the fighting and stuff. But I was disappointed in the brief fighting scenes that they weren't as choreographed, weren't nearly as strong as the previous Black Panther film. But trying to compare it with Black Panther to me is it's tough. I'm not gonna lie to you, that's like one of my favorite movies ever. Straight up, I watch it so often just because all the symbolism, and so it had very high expectations to live up to, and I think they did a good job with giving with what they had to overcome. Which is your main character's gone. So I thought for the most part it was pretty good, but just really the slowness that it moved is really my main takeaway from why I gave it a 3. It was slightly, it's an average movie.
See?
So for me, a scale of 1 to 5, I'd probably say 1.5 or a 2. 2 would be too much. Like, I was highly disappointed in that movie, to the point where I just kind of sat there at the end, like, I couldn't believe like I wasted 3 hours of my time seeing that movie. Like, I mean, so like you guys said earlier, it they did a pretty good job with the tribute to Chadwick. I kind of understood, like, how he wanted to honor him, and I get that. But just from a Marvel standpoint, it was one of the worst movies ever in the MCU universe. And then, as far as like Black Panther being a Black movie, and like Marv talked about how that first movie, there were so much symbols and things like that. Like, this was a total miss. This movie was for Mayans and Mexicans, pretty much. Like, they have been blowing Twitter up. They love the character, they love the movie, and that's fine. But that this was our second movie, and it wasn't for us. And then as far as like, being a Marvel fan, I said from the beginning that they should recast it, because yes, we lost the actor, but we should not have lost the character. And I was really looking forward to seeing that Black love scene. Like, I wanted them to introduce Storm, and then I wanted them to kind of go from there. So I don't know what his plan is to do that, since they, had him have the son with someone else. But if you watch the comics, he had him with Storm. So I was really looking forward to that part of it. And then, just, I don't know, him just making stuff up, like giving the vibranium to, like, the other culture or whatever. Like, I mean, I don't know. It was just so many misses, and it was so super slow. It just, I don't know. I'm disappointed. Like, I will be good if I never watch that movie again, ever. And I think almost every movie in MCU I've watched more than once.
Right.
I know if Robert Downey Jr. would have had some type of drug overdose or something else, because he used to have problems, I guarantee you they would have recast Iron Man and we would have kept going. And so, I'm blaming like Ryan Coogler for a lot of it. Like, I just feel like a lot of it's on him. But I mean, I don't know. But that's my take. That's my rant. So
you mentioned about Storm, but there was a point. Didn't follow the comic close, but apparently there is a point where Shuri actually is the Black Panther too. So
she is, but that was supposed to come later on, which brings me back to another point I forgot to bring up too, which I don't like, is that I feel like all of our actors and actresses, other than like maybe Shuri and a couple of them, I'm hoping M'Baku has like, more, roles in the next movie. But why did Angela Bassett die off a movie too? I mean, Anthony Hopkins was in like 2 or 3 Thors. So why is he getting?
That's a whole, to me, I'll let Mark give it. I mean, to me, it goes back to, there's little stuff in there that I don't know if it was intentional, unintentional. I really don't know. But, in the Black community, a lot of times they're like, death happens in threes, right? So you had the dad, T'Challa, and then the third is the mom, and that's something that we always say. It happens in threes. Death comes in threes. And so I don't know if that was intentional.
Why did it happen so soon? Like, why are our actors only getting like 1 or 2 film contracts?
Let me go ahead and jump in, man. I vehemently disagree with y'all. I would give the movie a 3.5, and I'll give it a 3.5 based on how they handled losing a character as large as Chadwick. I'm really kind of disappointed in how y'all just glossed over the grief aspect, because hell, we did a whole show about how Chadwick's death impacted us. And just try to imagine, you got people who were working with him day by day, and how are they going to try to recover from that? And we had a lot of people who said, hey, it's too soon to recast T'Challa. And I agreed with him. I agreed that, it made sense to have Shuri as the Black Panther, even though, and this is another point that I'll get to later on, even though I do believe long term, we need to have a man as the Black Panther. And I think that they did a good job by introducing the son at the end, so that as they go forward, they can bring it back, because little boys and dads who are taking their sons, Black dads who are taking their sons to the movie, can have that hero to look up to. But what I felt was done masterfully was how they handled the grief. You talk about Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man. Since when do we handle our family and our loved ones like white folks do? We don't do that. They put that, they'll put grandma and nana, wherever, in a home. We don't do that. We make a room and we take care of ours. So no, I don't think that they should have just recast it like they did. I just think they did a wonderful job. and I actually shed a thug tear at the end.
I did too.
Because I'm gonna be honest with you, if you have not dealt with grief on that level, because I felt Shuri. She says, I've lost everybody. I lost both my parents, my grandparents. You know, there's so many memories I have as a child. I have nobody to share them with. And I think we as a Black community grieve Chadwick, and to try to sit there and, you know, just gloss over, okay, well, he's gone. Now let's get a new Black Panther. That's a disservice. That's not what we do with Black people. Now, when you come as a storyline, bringing in Namor and, you know, the Mayans, or I can't remember what you know, what tribe they were exactly from. It was boring. It wasn't the best story. I think it would have been a lot better had they had a male antagonist, a male hero to stand up to Namor. I mean, having Shuri as a Black Panther didn't even look realistic because she's so small and she's so frail, and trying to fight against Namor. So yeah, I mean, if it was just based off of the storyline, the choreography, yeah, it's not the best Marvel movie. Honestly, I don't need to see it again because, like Arika said, I don't like going to movies to be sad. I don't go to sad movies. I don't do that. I want to either see comedy or I want to see fake violence. But I think that they did a masterful job weaving in the grief that everybody had, and I'm really shocked that y'all you know, took the stance that y'all did.
No, but what stance though?
First of all,
nobody. We just were giving our ratings.
Y'all totally
We're getting
shitted
more
on the
in
movie.
depth.
See this
Wait a
shit
minute,
on the movie.
I did.
A big
Yeah,
elephant.
you gave it a 3.5. We gave it a 3.
we gave it a 3. How was that
vehemently
vehemently?
disagree.
Right.
You gave it a 3. You gave it
That
a
was a
3,
0.5.
and then you said how boring it was.
You said it was
just said
boring
it
too.
was.
You literally
It
just said the
was.
same thing.
But I also talked about how masterfully and how
We're
I
getting
understand-
into that.
Hold on,
We're
I
getting
talked about
into
that first.
second, how I understood why they did what they had to do. I didn't, honestly, the fact that there was not a stronger male presence
Exactly.
in the movie, I didn't like it.
Man,
But
I thought it was just me.
But I
See the
understood.
little Black Lives Matter.
I understood why they had to do it, because otherwise this would have been Woman King too. Now people wanted to say, well, M'Baku could have did this. I thought the way they had M'Baku as being wise counsel, being on the elder council, and how he, you know, mentored Shuri, said, because your brother would have wanted me to do so. I thought they handled that well. I don't like not having a Black man for Black boys to look up to. But
Right.
how do you
What about the rest of the?
how do you recover? How do you recover from losing Chadwick? You don't.
I'm
you
not
don't
saying
recover
that we
way.
have to.
No, yeah, I
Just did.
But
I
here's
don't
the
want
deal.
him recast.
Well,
Yeah.
I've
I
been
thought it
down
was
with the
good.
MCU since 2008, but I'm gonna take it back further than that for the comic strip. I'm not saying that we were supposed to gloss over that man dying. I'm just saying I have been waiting so long for, and like every other little Black kid in America, just to have a Black superhero. They've recast the Superman a million times. How many Batmans have we had in our life? That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying we should have glossed over. I think they did excellent.
That's not the same, Steve.
But
That's
I
not
think
the
they
same.
could have found a way to, you know, to honor him and at the same time stay true to us. That Black Panther movie, all that did was, I'm telling you, the Mexicans, the Mayans, whatever, the Aztecs, I mean, they're loving it. They're going nuts on Twitter. That was not our movie. That's
Who
all I'm
cares?
saying.
Who cares?
Right, right.
Who
It-
cares? I do. I've been.
What are they going nuts for? They lost.
And only got
Right,
one movie.
right.
They lost. When he didn't die.
What are they
Why
going
didn't
nuts
he
for?
die though? Why didn't he die? You had no problem killing Killmonger. This man killed Angela Bassett. They let him live.
Well, because he's going to be an asset later on when the white man come for them. Then they're going to go all gang on him.
If we keep a comic book strips, he is white. They just switched it up in the movie to give them something to cheer about.
They totally reimagined it, because in the comic books, the Submariner is very white. He's white, pale skin.
Very.
He's adding that flavor to your function. D's daiquiri. Good people, good vibe, one drink at a time. Good people, good vibe, one drink at a time. Flavor to your function. D's daiquiri. Good people, good vibe, one drink at a time. Good people, good vibe, one drink. Wanna kick back, wanna just vibe, wanna kick back. Let me first slide to the drink store. all of them fire.
That's
Fill me
right.
up a case, I'm finna drop bread. Marvelous mango, classic and red. Took them to the party, these folks won't leave me alone. They wanted me to share, they better get their own. D's at that.
So the way they rewrote it, I thought it was actually clever how they rewrote it, and they made it follow, you know, the Mexican American, the Latin American timeline. I thought that was clever. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that they
I
could
did
have done
too.
a lot better job of writing the storyline. Because like, why is it, well, if you ain't gonna be with us, then we just gonna go after you. I mean, there's a lot of flaws in the writing, but like I said, man,
And it made the Wakanda look weak too. Like, you know, I
That's
don't.
because black people can't swim. So why?
So why would you try to? I mean, if anything, wouldn't you want to fight
but
people? On
Wakanda,
their own
but
turf? Why
here's the
would you want to
thing:
bring them to land?
the Wakandans were weak.
But like,
They lost their Black Panther. They lost their protector.
Yeah.
They knew that.
but what happened to the army?
They knew they were ass out.
What happened to all those armies though? At the end of Black Panther, I mean,
They locked all those blue men
They
up
locked them up
They
because
had
they
to
went
lock them
against
up
the
because
king.
traitors.
because they were fighting against one another.
They
because they was Killmonger fans.
Yeah.
Which I was
So
too.
was
But
I.
Moving on.
So was I.
Seeing
I don't know.
Michael B. Jordan make his appearance. I
Yeah.
thought that was dope.
I thought
Yeah.
it was dope too.
thought it-
Because she was the place she was coming from. I was like, ooh, you did that. Your energy
man,
brought that.
I was kind of
It's-
hoping they
yeah.
kept him alive last movie.
Yeah. It was a lot of, I don't know, maybe again, I might have been reading too much into the movie, but it was a lot of stuff, man. Like when they first found the vibranium, it said Atlantic Ocean, right? I was like, dang, that's the transatlantic slave trade, basically leaving trails from Africa through the Atlantic Ocean through you know.
Yeah,
So I didn't like that either. In the comic books, nobody else had it. So why they give it? to
Right.
him?
That's why I say I don't.
Wait. In the comic books, actually, they did have it in the ocean.
Oh, did they? But in the comic books, Neymar was like, what's his name? Aquaman. Wasn't he like half human and half whatever them people are, Atlanteans or whatever?
He was mute. He was a mutant. He was a mutant and half mermaid. So yeah, but they
That's
did.
what it reminded me of too.
did
Was like
have
a DC movie. I feel like DC movies are all like sad. Like Batman watched his parents die. Wonder Woman.
Martha.
You know, like everybody in DC, like, you know, Superman's parents died. The Flash's dad was locked up. So I just feel like this one just put me more in the mind of DC versus, you know, Marvel.
So what did y'all think about Grief? Was I the only one that thought that they handled it in a wonderful way?
No, I said they did a great job honoring Chadwick. And I thought it was the way they kind
It was
of
bigger
wove
than
the
honoring
grief through the
Chadwick.
storyline. Huh?
It's bigger than just honoring Chadwick, though.
Yeah, I think the grief thing was, you hit on something big, and then also, you know, she was very adamant the first movie about not liking tradition and not liking it. And so when you go through grief, sometimes you want to pull something back from those people and so she kind of did a 180 and she embraced some of the stuff that she never would have embraced before. And so that's real. You know, sometimes you go through and you want to just grab onto any piece of a family member, or friend that was there before, even though you didn't necessarily agree with something they did. But if that's what they did and that's how it can draw you closer to them, you find yourself doing that same thing.
Yeah, and I think that the way they kind of tried to show her processing through her grief too was good too. Just to show the different stages that she kind of went through, where she was like avoiding it and then she was angry and all this other stuff. I thought it was well done. I just thought it. So for me, Chadwick passed early 2020. I can't remember exactly when, but then my dad passed like the end of 2020. So I started out being like, man, I haven't been this hurt in forever when Chadwick passed. And I was like, well, I have now reached a new level of hurt, their grief and all this other stuff. So to me, it just reminded me of that whole year, how much, you know what I mean, happened that whole year. So it put me in a whole different headspace. That's why I was like, okay, thank you for honoring it, but I didn't come here to be reminded of my grief.
But don't you think that they were in somewhat of a catch-22 though?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Definitely.
I looked at social media there were so many people who were lobbying to say, listen, no, don't never recast it. Chadwick is so big that you don't need to recast the Black Panther. But again, I made this point earlier. I think it's too important to Black boys that you have the Black Panther character. I like the fact that I'm so pro Black woman, but I think what's up girl's name? Lupita. Hey, Lupita had a dunk though. I didn't know
she did.
I didn't know
Nakia.
Yeah, Nakia. Yeah. But anyway, see,
you just not figuring that out though.
Listen, hey man.
When she first came on the screen, I was like, Lupita got ass.
Yeah. I was like,
Brandon was like, I was just thinking that.
That's unadulterated, But I think with Nakia and what's old girl, General Okoye, a girl from Walking Dead.
Yeah,
I think that they give Black girls, they exude strength for Black women.
With the IT or the girl that went to MIT,
yeah. I thought that was dope the way they intertwined her into the story as well. But as I was watching the movie, I was like, man, I'm not feeling this. I'm not feeling how they're just erasing the Black man. I'm not feeling this at all. But then it wasn't until the very last scene when I saw, okay, this was a movie just to, like I said, honor Chadwick and to kind of put a bow on that series, on that iteration of the Black Panther. Because you talked about Batman, seeing how many Batmans we have. Whenever they recast the Batman or recast Superman, they kind of start anew.
Yeah.
They start anew and they'll reintroduce, another character. People will forget about it for a while. We may not see Black Panther for a while because they just have to reset. They have to reset this whole timeline in the movie. But
it might not be Ryan Coogler either.
Yeah, might not be Ryan Coogler, But why you say that though? You don't think he wants to do it again, or?
Yeah, I kind of think he wants to get away from it a little bit, and I mean, especially with what happened with Chadwick, honestly,
Yeah.
I don't know. It seemed like they went from having Black fathers, husbands, and brothers to literally it being nobody but M'Baku, and then it seemed like they wasn't looking for no men either. It was like, not only do we not have any, but we also don't want any. I was like, okay, everybody just gonna give up on the dude.
Right. I said the same thing. I think, as a Black woman, it was a dope movie. Like if you look at it from that point, because we pretty much ran everything. But like I said, I think big picture, just because I am a Marvel's fan and a comic book fan, and I've wanted that for little kids so long. I mean, I don't even have any. My kids are dang near grown. I mean, the youngest one's 15, so I don't even have anybody who's ever going to dress up as Black Panther or buy a toy anymore. But still, there's just so many out there, and that's why I'm just disappointed. Even if they would have left Killmonger alive and had him do it for a little bit, just something.
Yeah, I got everything for my son already. Black Panther, he got his decked out. He got stuff in the closet so he can wear it in 3 years. So
that's what's up.
I think that's one thing that they did better, because I know with the first movie they didn't really have a lot of merchandise and toys or anything, and I don't know what type of royalties the actors they get from the toys and merchandise, but they just didn't have that the first go around. This time I saw a little bit more of that though. So I don't know, going forward, I mean, what would you like to see? I mean, obviously we all said we'd like to see a male figure back as the Black Panther. What else would you like to see going forward with this title? Do we need to bring it back, or do we kind of need to let it rest for a while?
I didn't necessarily say we need a male figure to be Black Panther. I mean, I think that if she became it in the comics books, we could at least let her have her run until little baby T'Challa gets grown up. But I mean, I feel like she should be not necessarily, there should be more men added to the cast. And besides that, I think that the next movie to make up for all of the emotion and sentiment, and this movie needs to kind of bring it back to the action that you go to a superhero movie to see.
Yes.
And so if they don't bring it back to those unrealistic fight scenes that everybody looks forward to, the flipping through the air and bouncing off of stuff and all the stuff that got introduced into movies after the Matrix and stuff, then I don't know what they're doing if they're not doing that.
I know you're feeling the show, but picture your ad right here. If you want to advertise with us, hit up the link in our bio and we'll get you on the show.
I think that they will. I think that you know, I think that's why they reintroduce, you know, the son at the end, because, but again, like I said, I want to, you know, sound like the Brooklyn record. They had to put a bow on this, and they had to address it in a way that was sensitive to the emotions of a lot of the people who watched it, because a lot of people didn't know anything about the comic books. I mean, if we're keeping it real, Black Panther, the comic, wasn't one of the most prevalent lines for Marvel. It just wasn't. It didn't get like the best writing. It didn't, you know, had the best, you know, it had good artistry, but it just wasn't a major storyline. It always fall off. The ones like Thor, Captain America, the Avengers, Spider-Man, those are the staple of Marvel, right? Black Panther was an ancillary title. And I think that speaks to how well that they did with the original storyline and the way they brought that in, because, you know, you have this character who was richer than Tony Stark, smarter than Tony Stark, able to fight, led his own nation, protected his people. And the way they presented that was just dope. And how do you lose somebody like that and then just move on? And again, maybe I'm getting too deep with it, but it hit me. It hit me in that movie. But yeah, I feel y'all though. I think the storyline, I don't know who wrote it in terms of like the battle between Namor and Shuri and everybody else, but that was a little bit rudimentary, my personal opinion. I mean, some people love like the underwater scenes. I was like, I'm tired of seeing them underwater.
I was like, how far do you have to swim to get to this line? Like, come on, man. You didn't have to go that far underwater, you know.
And this was
8 minutes to get there.
I didn't understand why are you fighting these people? I'm stabbing you in the little water plate. That's it. Fight over. You're suffocating or running back to the water.
Well, the one guy took it off and he was fine, but then other people got hit and they took off running. So I don't know.
Right. I noticed that too, because he gave his to Shuri and he just fine. But I was like, I'm not fighting you. I'm stabbing you in the little mouth thing.
Especially not in the middle of the ocean though. Like that's your play. You always try to fight somebody on your own turf. I mean, that's why you say home field.
Right.
Or
go out into the middle of the water and about to get murdered.
Yeah. You want to fight the fish man in the water.
And I was with the general. I hated that aqua suit they made for her. That was horrible. It reminded me of the
Predator,
the witch doctors or something like that. It's something, I don't know, from some show I saw. But those like goggle type eyes, I was just like, this is
And then I thought the
sleep doctors
looked too much like Iron Man suit.
It did.
Yeah, it was basically Iron Man suit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, and then she didn't have no black people around her either.
Yeah. She just like Jarvis. That was it.
Right, because all the people she talked to at MIT was white. Why couldn't she have like a strong black crew up at MIT?
Yeah. Right.
Mm-mm.
She was kind of like a solo person.
Like that was yesterday's price. Today's 1,000.
Yeah.
Right, but why she got to be at MIT hustling too?
Yeah, true.
Why she can't just be there excelling? Why we always got to be doing some extracurricular shit?
Yeah, you're not supposed to.
She was excelling if she was doing her homework. She was just grinding through. And you know, she's ADOS, so a lot of us do have to hustle. So they kept her
shy. You know what I'm saying?
But if she's getting her ideas stolen from the military, they couldn't scrape up no scholarship money for this little baby.
Right.
That's how they do it.
When has the American government ever done
right? That's how they do it.
Yeah, now you're really talking fantasy.
Well, no, I meant the school. If she's that good, the school should have been giving her a scholarship, but that don't mean nothing.
And speaking of the government, I'm so sick of Ross. Like, he doesn't have to have this much of a presence in every Black Panther movie.
Man, exactly. Like, come on, man. Why is he continually hanging around? Like,
That's what I said earlier about those long-term contracts. Like, if you look up a lot of these MCU actors and actresses, I mean, they are getting multi-film deals, getting paid upon paid for small little parts. Angela Bassett gets killed into Killmonger's probably not going to come back. He may pull up, like, they may pop him up once or twice, like Loki, where they go way back and then come back forward or so. But it's like Ross is just, he's everywhere, everywhere.
And then it's like he's useless because it's like
they're giving him information.
He gave them a name.
Right.
They're Wakanda. You have the best computer system in the world, and you need him to give you the name of the person that came
of a student.
And why didn't y'all know that before, that they was using machines to try to find your shit?
Right.
Like, you should have been able to figure that out before somebody had to come and tell you. Some underwater man had to come and tell you. And you telling me they don't have no type of defenses at the water?
Yeah, that's why I said it made.
If all you gotta do is swim under the shield.
It made Wakanda look real weak. Even when they went to like the village, I'm like, they just didn't have even that strong presence they had.
Right. Why wasn't no vibranium in the wall? The water just exploding all the walls and
yeah. Like, ooh, stronger than that.
Yeah. You like what you see, don't you? I know you do. You too can be fly like me and the rest of the Man Listen crew. Grab this merch, check out our link in our bio. Drip.
That's the case. Let everybody out of prison. Shit.
Look, Marv, you gonna take your 0.5 back, or you still vehemently?
Vehemently is worth the 0.5.
0.5.
Vehemently is worth the 0.5.
He went a 0.5 less than y'all, and he was like, I can't believe y'all hate this movie.
No, I mean, because honestly, I just, I thought that the way they handled it, man. Because think about this: you lose a character as strong as Chadwick, and you still manage to recover. You still manage to recover and put something out. And I don't care what you say. See, we might disagree on that. This movie wasn't trash. Was it the best movie? No, but there's plenty of movies in the Marvel canon that just like, okay, this is just all right. But there's no way. There's no way they could have made this like a cheeky, funny type movie. There's no way they could have just been like, okay, yeah, he died, and we're just going to show like a little montage of him, and then we're just going to move on. I'm telling you, that would have been met with such widespread criticism just to move past. I think that they handled this appropriately.
I think they did good honor him, but I probably would have did something like a prequel. Like, I remember when that one actor died in Spartacus, and then they just, instead of recasting him right away, they just did like prequels and then went back to what it was before he got there. I don't know. There's just, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't have honored him, and I didn't say that they should have to recast him right away. They just should have, I don't know, should have just been different.
Or did like an origin story or something.
Yeah, like, I mean, sometimes I don't know. I just feel like we got to separate the character from the actor. I mean, he embodied the character. I'm not taking that away from him at all, but I just don't think that's where it stops.
That speaks to a bigger point too, though, to where he is held in such high regard because that's all you have to go off of.
Right.
And so it does speak to that. We need more people in the rooms that make the decisions on what movies are being made. Mm-hmm. It doesn't necessarily have to be a superhero movie, but just in general, we need better positive storylines for the movies that we're in.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to when Falcon turns into Captain America. That's probably gonna be a good one.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's several ways they can go with it. I honestly, I've been impressed with how Marvel has tried to, when I say Disney has tried to be more inclusive with the superhero characters they have. Because I'll be honest with you, you talk about Falcon, when you talk about Luke Cage, when you talk about Black Panther. Luke Cage was like I love Luke Cage on Netflix. If you haven't haven't watched that, I mean, the way they did the story, the way they shouted out Black culture, they talked about different literature, artists, and everything. The way intertwine our culture into that story. Falcon with Falcon and Bucky. That one was a little bit more weak.
I haven't watched that
Yeah,
one.
because I think they tried to intertwine some storylines and they probably should just focused on one or the other. But I'll give Disney and Marvel their props because all of those characters were like the sidekicks. They were all the sidekicks. They never got like their own like real strong individual shine. They would have like short runs of their own, you know, titles by themselves. And even then it was more handled like a black exploitation type of way. Like Luke Cage, he was called Power Man. And he had, you know, he had like these kids like, yo, jive sucker and all this type of stuff. And then, you know, they'd be fighting in Harlem, fighting junkies and
Right.
shit like that. You know, whereas now they have changed these characters into somebody who is admirable and powerful, and somebody that the black community can say, hey, listen, that's us on the screen. So, you know, I mean, they could have missed me with, you know, changing the submariner to, you know, somebody who was Hispanic, but I don't really take issue with that. I mean, a lot of people were like, well, why the black and brown got to be fighting? You know, all those things I think they're valid critiques. I think some of the critiques that y'all have are valid. I think y'all going a little bit too far with some of them. I mean, yeah, they got vibranium, but damn, they ain't impervious. I mean, they ain't like they can't be beat at all. You know what I mean? Overall, I'm happy with what they did, and I hope that they can. I'm eager to see what they do to turn it around. I don't think we're gonna see a Black Panther movie for a while, though. I think they're gonna
Nah, it'll be a while.
have to let it sit for a while.
Maybe
So,
like 3 years or so.
yeah, probably. Maybe
Well, it was
maybe
3
about
years
5.
between these
Yeah,
though.
about 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe about 5. They gotta like kind of let Chadwick's memory kind of, you know, rest a little bit. Let it rest and then move forward, you know, because you know, Negroes like y'all that's been saying, well, dang, they showed the kid and he was about 6 in the movie. Now he's 21. This ain't real. Why they gotta age the black man so fast? Y'all be
I was
all
about to say,
I would
movie time. In 5 years, that kid will be drinking shots.
For real, exactly.
Anyway, I think we talked about it enough. Go see the movie. Make sure you support black actors. Rest in peace to Chadwick. And make sure you share this show. Let us know what you think. Did you agree with how they handled the grief? Do you agree with, you know, with us in terms of, hey, we need to bring another black male back as the Black Panther? Did we miss? Do y'all agree with them that it was whack, or do you agree with me that they did it well? Let us know. Share the show. Like us on Instagram. Like us on Facebook. Leave a comment. Leave a thumbs up. And we'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace.
Do the Wakanda Forever on, you know.
Wakanda Forever.
And when you make a comment, tell us where you're coming from. Are you judging it as a black movie, or are you judging it as a Marvel fan? I want to know. I need the backstory.
Yeah.
so she can properly